Welcome everyone to today's webinar with Fairfax Cryobank. Today we will be discussing LGBTQ family building with donor sperm. And we're very excited to have you all here. So here today with us, we have Christina Garcia, our cryobank manager. She's going to be leading you through our discussion this afternoon. And we also have wonderful Doreen Bond, our manager of client services, who will be there for the Q&A portion, answering any sort of client service related questions you may have. And myself, the marketing director, Morgan Barker, will be handling and moderating those questions. Like I mentioned, we will have questions today, so go ahead and submit them as they come to you, but we will save those for the end for the Q&A section. So go ahead and submit them now if you want, as they kind of come to your top of your mind, but feel free to submit them now, but we'll save them for the end. In addition, we will go ahead and record today's session and send it out via email after our webinar today. So for those who aren't able to stay for the full thing, we will be sending out a recap afterwards. And with that, Christina, go ahead and take it away.
Alrighty, welcome everybody. I'm glad everyone is here for today's webinar. I'm happy to be your host today. So let's go ahead and get started. As usual, I like to go over our goals and see what we're going to cover for today. So we are going to go and cover getting started and building a family, and we're going to do choosing a donor, products, and donor categories. A popular topic is vial types and procedures. And then a little new twist, we're going to add some additional services for building a family. And then we are going to talk about our resources and then the Q&A at the very end. All right, so getting started, we basically need three things: eggs, sperm, and a uterus. So when it comes to eggs and sperm, we can use ourselves or a donor. We can also use a partner. And then for a uterus, we can use yourself or a partner as well. And then also either a surrogate or a gestational carrier. So when we're building queer families, we do have a lot of options. We do have, again, what I mentioned in the previous slide, we have like donor eggs and donor sperm. We have the known or directed donor program where you can bank for your eggs and sperm. And then we also have the trans individuals who can bank their eggs and sperm prior to transitioning. We have the surrogacy and gestational carriers. So the difference between a surrogate and gestational carrier is that a surrogate refers to a woman who has a genetic link to the child, while the gestational carrier is just a woman who carries and delivers the child, like for another couple or an individual. But this person does not have a genetic link to the child. And then also we have adoption, which is always a wonderful option. So with all this in mind, today we're going to actually talk about more of the sperm options since we are Fairfax Cryobank. And so we'll talk about family building and your journey together. All right, so choosing a sperm donor. A lot of people always ask us, how do I get started? How do I choose a donor? We just basically simply tell them, write down characteristics that are important to you, the ones that you value. We have different options on our donor search, popular ones, physical characteristics. We have ethnic background, personality, education, lifestyle, etc. There's many options to choose. We do also have important ones, which are very popular, the donor categories, the brand codes, and specimen types, which I'll go in more depth with the other slides on those categories. As of today, we are about over 330 donors to choose from. So that is a big jump from what we had from last year. So that is a great tool, you can minimize all the different characteristics you like, and then it'll minimize your choices and see which ones you come up with. All right, so donor category. So this is one of our popular choices. And so we have non-ID, ID donors, and non-ID to ID donors. So non-ID donors are simply just a donor who did not agree to release identifying information to a donor-conceived person, the DCP. So this might have been a personal choice for him, or he wanted to remain private at the time. But an ID donor, on the other hand, agreed to release the identifying information to the DCP. So the DCP must be registered and 18 plus years old in order to proceed with the identifying information process. So March 2020, Fairfax decided to accept only ID donors. So this was basically a personal choice for the company because of the fact that, want to grow with the society as well as like in the industry, and number one are DCPs. So to allow them to have the chance to have the option down the line to be able to get the identifying information. So the non-ID to ID donors, they are basically non-ID donors are asked annually to see if they want to become ID donors. It is not mandatory, but we started doing this in January 2020. Legislation passed a law where we would allow non-ID donors to become ID. So we do give them that chance. We have the donors are on our website, and they will remain as non-ID. But if you click onto their summary profile, you'll click onto like where all their profiles are. There's a section where it says summary profile. At the very bottom, it'll say any updates of the donor and if he has changed from non-ID to ID. You can also call CS, our client services team, to find out that information as well. So when the DCP, the donor conceived person, requests ID information, and it happens to be the non-ID to ID donor, as long as they are 18 plus years old, they will go through the same process as the ID donors. All right. So brand codes. So our donor brand codes, choosing a sperm bank can be just as important as choosing a donor. You definitely want to make sure that the sperm bank that you use is FDA regulated and has up-to-date infectious disease testing and genetic testing. So that's important to some people, and also you might want to consider the reputation of the company, the pricing, the sperm quality. So we do have 3 great sperm banks. Obviously, Fairfax Cryobank is our main cryobank. And then they acquired Pacific Reproductive Services in 2016. PRS is located in the California branch. And then Cryogenic Laboratories, CLI, Fairfax acquired them in 2002, and they are located in Minnesota. So all of these sperm banks are under the Fairfax umbrella, and you can order the donor sperm on the Fairfax website for any of these brands. All right, I always like this. It's the fun part. So products to help you choose. We have free products and we have products for purchase. So with the free products, we have a childhood photo, just like it says, it's a photo of the donor when they were a child. Summary profile, we have, that's where you will click onto the summary profile at the bottom. You can find any of the updates, but it's it's an overview of the medical history and any types of updates for the donor. Staff impression is impressions from the staff, whether it's physical appearance or personality. The donor essays, we give donors a list of questions and they'll write it down for us. The audio clips from the donor and staff. So the staff will also give their impression on audio form. And then also we do have the audio clips for the donors. We'll ask the donors like certain questions and they'll respond, so you can actually hear their voice and their tone, and like depends if they have humor. I believe this is one of my favorite tools to use. So this is just a 1 or 2 minute clip, but you get a pretty good idea of a donor with what their responses are. And then we also have the ones for purchase that is a much longer version of the clip. So to continue, we have the medical profile and then the genetic testing summary. So not all of the donors are going to have the expanded screening. The newest donors, most of them will. I think we're about, I want to say over 500 plus recessive diseases. So if you pick an older donor, they're not going to have as many testing done compared to the new ones. But, you know, if you have any questions or anything, you can also ask client services. We also do have a webinar done by our genetic counselor, Suzanne Seitz. If you are interested in the whole genetic world and trying to learn about it, or maybe if you have questions, like if you have your own testing that you are a carrier for, it's a great tool to use, or you can just look simply online, and you can even use the tool button there and click on expanded panel, or you can actually click on to say if you know your gene or what you're a carrier for, you can click on that and make sure that you choose donors that aren't carriers for the same thing you are. So that's a great tool to use too. We also have Face Match. So this one's actually a fun tool to use. It's free. All you have to do is download a photo. It can be your partner, it could be a friend, it could be a celebrity, it can be anyone you want. So what it'll do, it'll download the photo and do a facial comparison to the donor. So it'll try to establish what the facial structure is and kind of do the comparison to what the donor's profile pic. So it might not be a high comparison, not everybody looks alike, but if there's medium low options, definitely you can narrow down your search on that one and see if you like any of the donors from there. So now we have products for purchase. We have the personal profile, excuse me. It's the extensive summary profile, which includes the physical, med history, the family medical history, religion, updates, and then 3 to 4 generations of history. So I say 4 generations because some of the donors actually have their own children. So I think we're probably at about, I want to say about 20 to 25% of the donors on our donor pool have their own children. So they'll have that information as well. We have the silhouette. So it's a blacked out side profile of the donor. We have the adult photos or lifetime series photos. Not every donor will have an adult or lifetime photo, but a few years ago, we actually started making that more mandatory for the adult photos. So I believe we're close to about 60% of our profiles, our donor pool does have adult photos. So good tool to use because everybody likes to know what they look like as an adult, because sometimes the child photos they change throughout the years. So highly recommend that. Not like, again, like I said, not everybody has the Lifetime series photos, but many of them do. The full audio interview. So this is the one I mentioned earlier. This is one of my favorite tools, and this part is about 15 to 20 minutes long. So you can definitely get a better idea of the donor and listening to any of their responses. And then we have the personality type. So we give them a personality test. And, like for example, if, we'll find out if like they're an extrovert or introvert, etc. All right. So with all those products that entail, we have the 90-day unlimited access plans. So if you see to the right, you'll see there's 4 tiers. And everything I mentioned in the free items, you'll see in blue. And so you'll get all those for free. You can just automatically go onto the donor search, find a donor you like, and then click on the items that you can download. The one on the right, a basic access for 109, you get all the free items, but also personal profile and a silhouette. The full access for 149, you get the rest of the items that are for purchase. So that's a pretty good deal as well. The full access with Club Fairfax is a really good bargain, in my opinion. I know it looks quite expensive, but the benefits are pretty great. You get 2 free shipping that will include with it, and shipping costs are can be like $300 to $400 depending on what type of shipping costs you get. Plus, you'll get 5 vials and receive the 6th vial free anytime over the next 12 months. So right there, an additional vial. If you buy 5 vials, that's a great cost, a great savings as well. And you get to preview new donors before others do within that 12-month period. So that is a great benefit as well. So again, there's 4 different ones. It's, whatever suits best for you and whatever you'd like to choose. At the end, we have a little secret. We have a little code at the end so we can see what kind of good discount we could get. All right, so we have vial types. So vial types and procedures. This is actually a very, very popular topic because a lot of clients ask us, what vial do I need for a certain procedure? So we always tell all our clients, you want to make sure you ask your medical professional and always ask for their preference as well, but we can at least guide you in that direction. Let's start off with the vial types. So we have IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, ICI, intracervical insemination, ART, assisted reproductive technology, and an ICSI is an intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So these are the vial types that we have available for purchase. So with IUI vials, these are pre-washed vials with at least 10 million motile sperm. The seminal fluid was removed prior to the freezing process. So these vials are, going to be good for preferences of an IUI insemination, which will go on the next slide on those ones. ICI vials are not washed, which they still have at least 10 million motile sperm. So, but these are the different vials, which the seminal fluid was not removed prior to the freezing process. So typically, if your clinic has a capability of washing sperm, they can use these vials as well. Or you can use these like for home inseminations. So 1 vial equals 1 procedure. ART vials are IUI or ICI, and these have at least 6 million motile sperm. You can use 1 vial for an IVF procedure, or if for some reason IUI or ICI premium vials are not available, you can actually combine 2 of the ART vials for an in-office or home insemination. ICSI vials are also IUI or ICI, but these have 3 million, at least 3 million motile sperm. So these are normally for ICSI procedures, which we'll talk about in the next slides. All right. So the different procedures that are common is home insemination or ICI procedure. So the difference between these two is home insemination you could do in the comfort of your own home, and ICI procedures are usually done by a clinician. There's times when midwives will go to your home as well, or you can have them done in the clinic. Intrauterine inseminations, the IUI, and then assisted reproductive technology, ART procedures. We have the 2 common procedures, the IVF and vitro fertilization, and ICSI is the intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So you'll definitely want to discuss with your either fertility specialist or infertility specialist or a medical professional what your fertility goals are. So let's go a little bit in more detail of each one. So for home inseminations or ICI procedure, an intracervical insemination, this is when the sperm sample is drawn into a needleless syringe and then inserted into the vagina and release sperm onto the cervix. So using an ICI premium vial is what you would prefer. And then if we don't have an ICI premium vial, you can actually use 2 ICI ART vials for this procedure. Once you have established that you want to do a home insemination, you'll place your order with client services, and we will provide you a needleless syringe. And so we will also provide you the instructions of what to do from the very beginning to the very end. So that is a big tool. And then also, if for some reason we don't have the ICI vials available, an IUI premium or 2 IUI ART vials are okay to use. They will work just as fine as the other vials. The only difference is with ICI, since you're placing the sperm onto the cervix, your vagina services as like a natural wash process. So that is why you can use an ICI vial. So for Fairfax, we can ship anywhere within the US. And then clients doing a home insemination do not need a physician sign off on a home consent except for New York. But there's some information on our website that you can look on if you do live in New York. Intrauterine insemination. So this is a little bit more invasive procedure than a home insem because an IUI will bypass the vaginal canal and cervix to enter directly into the uterus. So instead of a home insemination where it's just going to the cervix, you are bypassing the cervix and using a medical catheter, which your medical professional will be using. They will insert the catheter and inject the sperm directly into the uterus. So this is why an IUI premium vial is preferred, or you can also use 2 IUI ART vials as well. If for some reason the donor does not have an IUI vial, and this is someone you like, You just need to make sure that the clinic you're working with are able to use ICI premium vials or 2 ICI ART. So they will need the capability of washing sperm. Oh. And then, so also talk to your, medical professional if they do have the capability of washing sperm. Also, a lot of medical professionals do have their own preference of what type of vial they would like to use, and then just discuss with the delivery method if they're able to accept any shipments, or they will just accept deliveries. All right, so assisted reproductive technology procedures. This is definitely more invasive procedure because the eggs are fertilized with the sperm outside of the body. So you do have the ART, which is IVF and ICSI. So with in vitro fertilization, this basically means egg retrieval plus fertilization of eggs equals embryo transfer. So an ART vial is the preferred type of vial that you can use, but for this procedure, you can use any type of vial. The intracytoplasmic sperm injection, ICSI, this procedure is injecting the sperm directly into the egg for fertilization. So that's why if you use the ICSI vials, those are preferred because you don't need as much sperm. But again, always ask your medical professional and see what their preference is, and they will be the ones to help you with your fertility goals. All right, so jumping into family limits and registrations. So reporting your birth is very, very, very important. We heavily rely on your reports so we can keep track of our families reported in the US. So Fairfax will stop distribution when there are 25 families reported in the US. So 25 families actually means, for example, so if I decided to have 1 to 3 children, I'm considered one family. If I have a partner and we decided to use both the same donor and we had a child each, we are considered one family. So it is very important to report your birth so we can track our family limits within the US. We also distribute globally, and we are very diligent on our international regulations. So we do abide by the international guidelines. For example, the UK, their limit is 10 families. So we have to abide by that rule. Okay, so for ID registrations for ID donors, if you choose an ID donor, I suggest that you report your pregnancy and fill out an ID registration form. So you can have your child ready and good to go when they turn 18 years old. They will have that opportunity to be able to request the donor's information. If they are not registered, then they will have to tell you to register them. So going to the donor conceived person, the DCP, again, once the adult child turns 18, this is when we can begin the process of the ID request information. They will need to complete the form and provide ID, which is usually like a government ID, passport, or birth certificate. Once I receive all that information, we will contact the donor for their preferred method of contact. If the donors respond right away within the allotted time frame, we will let the donor conceive person only. They will be the only ones to know what the information is. and we will provide the name, date of birth, and the preferred method of contact. If we do not receive a response in the allotted time frame, then we will provide the name, date of birth, and all of the last known information. So again, this is strictly for the DCP only. We will not provide any of the information to the client. So if you have any questions, you can email me at dcpinfo@fairfaxcryobank.com. All right, so as I mentioned, I wanted to talk about additional services that Fairfax has because I believe this is part of family building as well. So we do have two sperm banking programs. We have the client depositor and the directed donor or known donor program. So the difference between these two programs is that client depositor is personal banking for future use with a sexual intimate partner. So this is when we also have trans individuals who will bank their sperm prior to transitioning. And some of our trans individuals will have a female partner and they will list them as that they are having the child together. So it can also be a male who is banking for a wife or a partner. So again, this is for sexually intimate partners that they will be having this child to get together. Directed donor program is on the recipient intended parent side. The DD will bank their sperm for a friend or someone other than a sexual intimate partner. So for example, me and my partner, we want to use a friend who will bank their sperm for us, and we will be the ones being the intended parents. So we're the recipient intended parent. The directed donor will waive the parental rights so we can have his sperm as, for us as a couple. An intended parent is the actual directed donor who is banking for himself, and down the line will most likely use a gestational carrier. So we also do have the program for trans individuals who will be using a gestational carrier. So they would be under the directed donor program. We also have long-term storage for embryos, oocytes, and sperm. We store long-term, short-term as well. For any clients, like for the ART procedures, if you're planning to freeze your embryos or oocytes, we do work with your clinic and we'll work directly with them to help with the whole transfer process. So we make it pretty easy for a lot of IVF clinics. Sometimes IVF clinics only have short-term storage options. So we do have very cost-effective options as far as the billing and storage system. And a lot of times too, if you do store different specimen types, we will count as like a one storage amount. We do have 7 locations, state-of-the-art systems. We do monitoring, temp monitoring, autofill, etc. We do have a lot of good feedback too for our storage. We do have 7 locations. I'm located in Pasadena, California. We have Fairfax Cryobank in we have Fairfax, Virginia, and then we have Roseville, Minnesota. We have Houston and Austin, Texas, and then we have Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Miami in Florida. But if you have any questions, please contact client services and they can direct you to the different locations, or they can direct you to the correct person that can help you with either program. All right, so we have resources, very popular resources, and there's a lot of information. You can go onto our website, click on resources, and then we have our Fairfax blog. It's basically, we have all the past and informational blogs available. You can you can get all the webinars that we've had in the past, and then also testimonials. If you subscribe to a Fairfax newsletter, there's a lot of benefits on there as well. There's a lot of promotions, there's giveaways, you get to know the new donors beforehand, a lot of tips and what's new, what's happening within the company, so you'll get the all the information beforehand. So Fairfax Family Forum is a great new tool that we've established. We do have it for clients and DCPs. So regardless of if you're the client or the DCP, a registered pregnancy or birth must be reported. So if you haven't reported your pregnancy or your birth for that specific donor, we will need that report before you can be added onto the forum. So for the clients, you know, and DCPs both, this is a great tool too, especially for some of the older donors who are still non-ID. This is a great way to still connect, especially for DCPs. They'll be able to connect with other siblings who have been have a reported birth with this donor. So again, the DCPs must be 18 plus years old before they can join this. But it's a great fun tool to use. And if you have any questions, you can contact the Family Forum page and try to get connected. All right. All right, so we are ready to purchase. I highly recommend, if you are interested, you know, at all, if you want to order donor sperm, to complete the terms of use online. You can do it electronically, it's easy, and it'll get you going. Sometimes we do have, you know, clients that, you know, there's a rush, and so at least this will be done before you can start ordering your sperm. If you have any questions, we have an amazing client service team. They can help you with basically any question you have, and they can help you, you know, check for vial availability, and you can see if the, you know, the types of vials or if they're limited or low. You can place an order, ship or pick up, and then, you know, just make sure you have donor numbers. We do highly recommend that you have multiple donor numbers, vial types and numbers of vials, and the clinic information. If you are interested in home insemination, if you're able, you know, to ship or pick up, you can also ask the client service team. And also for storage at our 7 cryobank locations, you can always ask to see if you're interested in storage. We have the client service contact information here. You can either call or email them at info@Fairfax Cryobank. If you are international, all our inquiries, you can email global@Fairfax Cryobank. And last but not least, we do have a code for LGBTQ webinar 2024 to get free, full, unlimited access for 90 days. So that's fun. I highly recommend it. You know, download the code, and it's only valid until the 5th. So I definitely recommend it. This is it for me, but I greatly appreciate everybody attending today's webinar. I am not a medical professional, but if you do have any medical questions, I'd be happy to get answers for you. But I'm going to have Doreen Bond, our manager for client services. She's going to help me with all of your client service needs today. And thank you again.
Thank you, Christina. We already have some great questions rolling in, so we can go ahead and get started on some of those. One of the first questions we're going to go through today is, how many donor vials are needed to be purchased for an IUI? Is it one vial equal to one IUI try?
That's a great question. So we generally recommend purchasing 4 or 5 vials per pregnancy attempt because it can take more than one IUI procedure to create a pregnancy. Um, so that's what we recommend generally. Now, of course, double check with your clinic, but they may require one. Some clinics require one to be shipped and another to be shipped as well as a backup just in case. Um, but it really depends. But yes, at minimum, we'd recommend one IUI vial for an IUI procedure.
And Doreen, on that same topic, the next question, it says, if I order 6 vials and I don't use them all, could I get the money back?
So we offer a great program called the buyback program where you would fill out a form. And as long as the vials have not left our facility, you'd be able to get 50% of your original purchase price back. So you would have to have the vials stored at one of our Fairfax locations in order for it to qualify. Some vials, if you return them within the first 45 days, if they're a genetic carrier, then you would be able to get 100% back. We also offer swaps if you are trying to change one donor for another donor, but again, only applicable if the vials have not left our facility.
Cool. How many vials do you recommend purchasing?
So as I said, I think 4 to 5 vials per pregnancy attempt. We do always recommend thinking about family building and thinking about purchasing additional vials to plan ahead for the future. If you want to have 2 or 3 kids, if you want to have 1 or 2, it's best to try to purchase the vials when they're available. We offer long-term storage, and then you're able to ship them out as needed. So that's the best and only way to guarantee that that donor is going to be available for you.
It says, can you tell me more about the purchase and the shipping? When we purchase a vial, does it mean we need to ship it right away, or can we wait until we can confirm shipping for Canadian? And it's also asking about for Canadian clients as well.
Okay, so for Canadian clients, you would have to work with our distributors. We have Origin, Can-Am, and Canada Cryobank that are all options where you would be able to order our vials through them. If you order directly from Fairfax Cryobank, we cannot ship directly to Canada. That's a compliance thing, so we would recommend you order with a distributor directly. As far as storing and shipping, if you're trying to ship in the US or we are able to ship internationally, we just can't ship directly to Brazil and Canada. But if you're ordering in the US, we are able to offer storage here until you're ready to ship. We have short-term and long-term storage. It's $45 per month. We also have prepaid options if you wanted to prepay for longer periods and wanted to plan ahead for that. When you're ready to ship, there would be a $45 handling fee, and then you'd be responsible for the shipping fees at that
time. Okay, great. I know Christina kind of covered this on the previous slide, but someone was asking what is the correct information to order. Can you just clarify that again?
Sure. So in order to place an order with us, you'll have to complete the terms of use letter. That's an 8-page form. It's the agreement between us as a cryobank and you as a client of the cryobank. That's located on our website underneath the resources tab. After we have that completed, you're going to want to check the donor that you've picked out to see if there's a genetic form on their profile. That genetic form just means that they've received genetic testing. They may be a carrier for something that was found in that genetic testing. So you'll want to check with your physician and your own genetic testing, maybe even a genetic counselor, to confirm this is an appropriate donor for you. Once we have those 2 forms, you're able to purchase and either store here at Fairfax or ship to your clinic.
Excuse me. On the next question here, we have a question about the donor questionnaires. How many questions are in the questionnaire for the donor essay and audio clip? Is it the same for all donors or is it switched up? and what kind of questions are asked?
So we have like for the questions for the donors, like unwritten form. I believe there's only like about like 5 questions on that one. But as far as like the audio interview, it depends on how many questions they ask. It could be anywhere from like 5 to 20 questions, because it depends on like how long their responses are to, and so how much time is allotted for them to give their response. So there's like, questions like, why do you want to be a donor? Like, questions of pertaining to, even like, I think there's like a question about like, what's your favorite childhood memory, and, or anything with family and stuff. So it's a wide range of questions.
We have some other questions about some of the donor profile products. How much are these products for purchase, or do you have to purchase each of these additional products, or do they come as a package? I guess they're asking about what is a la carte versus some of those ULAs packages.
So I always recommend that you purchase the unlimited access package if you're planning on purchasing one or more items, because our a la carte items can quickly add up unless you only want one specific item from one specific donor. That's going to be the best option for you. You pay the $149 or use the access code we're giving you today. That gives you 90 days of access to the website where you're able to view and download everything on the website, all the information. Now, I will say, even after those 90 days, you will be able to view that information on the website in your order history if you've already viewed it. So you don't have to repay again after your 90 days are up. But I do highly recommend getting that access package. And the Club Fairfax is a really great option if you're planning on purchasing and shipping multiple times. That is the best bang for your buck option that we offer.
We had another question during about the Club Fairfax, the $499 level. Someone wants to know if it is for just one donor or just if she has to buy it for every donor. Can you clarify how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be an access package for the whole website. It is not just per donor. So you pay the $499, and you're able to view all the information on the website for the 90 days. That and the full access are the same, but the benefits, like the 2 free shipping and the buy 5 vials, get the 6 vial for free, those can be used within the year of your membership. And that does not have to be the same donor at all.
Great. We do have some other questions regarding, like, what is the difference between washed and unwashed?
Do you want me to answer that one?
Sure.
So the washed vial is the IUI vial. So the seminal fluid has been removed prior to the freezing process. So when we process vials in our office, we do the 2 types of vials, which are our main ones, are the IUI and the ICI. So ICI vials, we do not remove the seminal fluid, and we just do a straight freeze. And then so those ones will need to be washed if you're doing an IUI procedure. If you are just doing home insemination, then you can use the ICI vials unwashed. So it just depends on if you, what procedure you're going to get, or which procedure you're going to do. And so depending on that, it's because you can get an infection if you just use an ICI vial and directly insert it into your uterus. So it needs to be washed prior to going into a uterus.
Okay. Thank you.
Hope that makes sense.
And we have, yeah. The next question here, someone shared that at 19, they had their tubes tied and they were wondering if they could do IVF or IUI. They already had 2 kids, but they want to try again.
Well, you'll definitely have to see an infertility specialist to see if they can do that for you. So if they can do a reversal. So it'll be all up to the medical professional to see if they're able to do that.
Okay. And I think we have time for one more question today. How do you verify their degree and their GPA and family history, etc.?
Do you want me? So for degrees,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead. I was gonna say we just request oh my gosh, their transcripts
the
and yeah.
transcripts.
Oh, I'm also like a diploma or but as far as I forgot what the other question was. Right.
Degree, GPA, and
The
family history.
the family history is a little bit more complicated, and Christina, I think you can explain that better than I can. But for the degree GPA, that is all included on the transcripts. Yes.
Yeah, so for the questions for any type of family medical history, they have a very long, extensive application process, so they do it multiple times. Once they apply on our website, they will, it's quite a few long pages of their medical history and also their family history. So once they ask that, we also do a review with them on an interview, and they also have to complete another med history review every time, especially if they do blood work. So any kind of changes to their medical history or their family's history needs to be updated constantly.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So that concludes today's webinar. If there are questions that come to you later on, please don't hesitate to reach out to our wonderful client services team. Doreen and our team of client service members are here to help you. They're very knowledgeable and are able to answer any questions you might have from today's webinar. And good luck with everything. And we will see you on the next one.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.